little bit concerned about that. And something we don't have to be concerned about, John, is not having to pause, because we'll pause every single game one without a doubt. Castaway is having FPS issues, apparently. Yeah,
yes.
I don't want to start complaining, John. I really don't. But how are you going to tell me? How I've seen the PCs these guys use, right? And I've seen the Gamehouse PCs they get. How are there FPS issues? How?
I don't know. They haven't restarted in 48 hours. They haven't turned off their PC. That can happen.
Turn off the
knowing
browsers,
some players,
boys.
you know.
Turn off the browser. Come on now.
It's not even browsers, you know. It's just memory leaks. Knowing some players, I know they don't shut down their PCs. You leave that on for a week, it's leaking memory everywhere. Processes just pile up. Windows is not good at clearing that out. So could be one thing, but also a friendly reminder to shut down your PCs when you sleep. If you're not downloading anything, you know, just turn it off. I don't get at with people. I know so many people who just leave their PCs on. Were they not scolded as kids when they left the light on when they left the room? Is that not a thing?
I'm not gonna lie. I'm one of those people. I don't turn my PC off.
Weren't you scolded as a kid for leaving the lights when you'd leave the room? Leaving the lights on? Were you not scolded?
I guess so. I was about to say bold of you to assume I had a PC when I was a kid. Because I didn't, John. It was quite a while till I got one. But
not the PC, lights. The lights in the room.
Know, I heard
it's the
you,
same
John.
concept.
Yes, all right. We didn't have that many lights, John. Okay, it was. You thought your house was small. My house was smaller than yours back in my day. It really was.
Mike, if you didn't turn off the candle light, that's even worse. What are you doing? Save the wax. Candles are precious.
We had a power outage once.
Man.
But we had a power outage once, and my dad legitimately got upset that we used candles. So, well, why would you waste those candles? It's like, well, Dad, this is why we have the candles, Dad. Oh, I had a very depressing childhood. So did you, clearly. If you're worried about light switches, John.
That I am, Mikey. At least the players don't have to worry, though.
Yeah. Boom Esports. They're going to smoke up. Zhao. Disruption's available. Wards are down. And they've got themselves a Phoenix. Castaway. Oh, he doesn't go Icarus dive. He went for Fire Spirits before he saw where they were. And that means Castaway's feeding first blood. Unfortunate start. I don't mean to lecture Castaway. You never choose your ability before the 0 minute marker's Phoenix. That's why.
Yeah, not going to be feeling all too good about that one. Nice freebie to have for the side of Boom. And you know, having that first blood gold on Zhao, maybe not the biggest deal in the world. Still faster timing, since it's just more regen, more blood grenades is always going to feel good there, of course. And does set up a little bit into a faster level 2, at least, picking that up. They don't manage to snag extra bounties, so that is one boon here for the side of Mongolz. You're not accelerating Jackie by a huge amount, and that is something that doesn't feel as good for the Alk. You're kind of happy to trade first blood for not losing all bounties to an extent. Still, we'll see how well they can handle the lane. And this lane is going to be rather interesting. JG and Kishka. Problem Beast in line does put a lot of pressure onto Jackie early on. Even down the line, once you have, say, Acid Spray, you have this potential for the Entrapment and Disruption. Acid Spray plus Unstable. The Primal Beast can hold back, and Kish is doing a great job of trying to time his stun to stop Jackie from finding an angle in. And he is playing really far forward this line. I love seeing that. Just making use of that early laning weakness of the Alchemist. Bullying out as much as possible and potentially forcing out some extra regen that the Alchemist and the support won't necessarily like to do.
And this is Jackie right now is thinking, I should have gone for the 200 gold. He's like, I should have gone for the extra gold. I knew it. Why don't I listen to that John X5 bloke? I knew I should have gone for the gold.
In my defense, I didn't talk to Jackie about this. No, I wouldn't dare. Not when Coach Mushi's there to scold me about it. No.
That's
I would
fair.
not second think Mushi. No, we have breakfast together, Mike. You would make breakfast quite what's the word? Tense. It would be very tense at breakfast if that were to happen.
It would be. And you love breakfast, John, so we would hate to ruin it for you.
No, certainly not.
How's bottom lane going? MQ, Castaway, FBZ teams. I mean, things are pretty smooth for both sides, it feels like. Like, this Tiny's not struggling too much in CS. Obviously, FBZ, maybe at the level 3 mark, starts to be a little bit more of a nuisance here with the Eidolons, but For now, it seems as though the Tiny Pos one is probably going to be okay. There's not too much threat.
And not too much threat onto him. At the same time, not too much threat onto FBZ either. As long as he manages his demonic summoning Eidolons quite fine, he's just going to be able to farm. It's a very passive lane to play. Tims does have a good cogs out. Does not manage to get the secondary hit onto Castaway. And he's doing a great job of zoning out the Phoenix from trying to spam out the Fire Spirits or to dive onto the Eidolons and trying to cut off FBZ. Leading into, again, a relatively good farming lane for Enigma. Just a lot better of a farming lane for AumQ without that laning pressure.
Absolutely. Mid lane going pretty smoothly for Bob as well. Just having a look back at the Storm. Like, obviously against the ES, he's not going to have as hard of a time as you would have if you were running this mid tiny. So Bob pretty much on even parity here in terms of CS with Mac, as the voice lines will start here from Bob. He tends to use his voice line when he's ahead, but it is still even.
And he is. Not opting for the extra point in the Vortex as well for a pullback into double overload, respecting Mac and his enchant totem quite a fair bit, which is fair for our Storm, of course. Rune control is going to be rather important into the 6-minute mark. Water Rune should be a 1-for-1. And that's where things can get kind of interesting if Kishka can get the room out. Though,
should be a death on Kishka, I think. Zhao's got the disruption, but he's holding out for now. Gets it off eventually, and he's going to have 5 stacks of Shadow Poison. Kishka, still alive, but not for long. He is definitely dead. It's JG now. Going to rotate over to try and trade it at the very least. Zhao, nice little deny in the Water Rune, is going to die. Meanwhile, mid lane, they have Jump Bob. That's a big pick-off. Bob, he's going to Fairy Fire up, but it will not make the difference. Tims will be able to secure the kill.
It's a rough go for Bob on mid, and maybe that stems back to running this Phoenix 5. Castaway doesn't really have that much laning presence to leave that bot lane. It's also kind of necessary to try to provide that spacing for AumQ to survive, so he can't just easily rotate onto the mid. Even if he did, the follow-through control without the line is just not really there. So, good openings found by Boom. Already just into the second Water Rune. That feels great to shut down his progression on Bob and allow that level advantage for Mac a little bit faster into the 6. And once you do have that 6, even just a casual rotation out can feel quite good, or clearing out the stacks a little bit faster if you do manage to get some big ones here from Tims.
Top lane. JG. Gonna get jumped here by Jackie. They've got plenty of control this time. Jackie able to secure his first kill of the game on the Alchemist. JG kind of getting left behind here as Kishka was not really around to try and save.
It's been a little bit rough for our line. Again, he tries to secure mid, doesn't quite work out, isn't able to come in to save the Crown Beast as well. He has been building stacks at the least, and this is going to be very important for JG or Bob to kind of clear out to help catch up here. Speaking of Bob, still targeted.
Certainly is, Bob. Alright for now, but Echo's available for Mac. Bob, still not level 6, trying to fight back in this Cogs. You do have a nice Earth Spike coming out from Kishka, and in fact, they get the kill. Very nice saves out from the supports of the Mongolz. Particularly Kishka with that Earth Spike really saving the day.
That's on edge. It does cost him a 4-man rotation, which does provide space out for Boom to keep farming. Like, that's time where FBZ is just, again, sitting back with the Eidolons, not being threatened out by this Tiny without anyone to follow through. You've got a lot of room out for Jackie to just work his lane right out into his level 6 timing and just kind of get that farm. You'd expect the Alchemist to do so. So I think the trade-offs are fine for Boom. They're playing where they do have this core that can launch off. They're playing in a part of the map where if they are forced to respond, it just opens up a little bit more on the side. And FBZ, again, he's just able to kind of push in. He's had a little bit of a slower start and not able to stop the Tiny, but starting to build up that Eidolon army. He's got supports rotating in now. Heck, he even gets a movement in the back from Jackie as that 6 starts to ramp up. They can maybe look for a movement out here.
Well, we saw this last series as well from Boom. They really enjoy now just bringing Jackie over through the Twin Gate and trying to secure a POS 1 kill while he's around, but it seems like they're not really going to find that opportunity, so Jackie's going to go back through the Twin Gate. And so they miss out on the Tiny kill, but they are still going to secure the Tier 1 bottom tower, which is going to be a pretty nice achievement considering we're only about 7 minutes into the game.
Yeah, I like this call from Mongolz as well to not force the fight, right? Like, they don't have their burst damage on hand. It's not like Bob can easily TP in. Doesn't quite have his TP as well, having to head back on mid. So can't really go for much. They do have some nice stacks built up for Bob, even on just this bot jungle area. It is scouted out by Boom, but they're not able to play into this area yet. So a nice little take for Bob to help him kind of catch back up after a slightly back and forth mid, and just help accelerate the storm into that Kaya timing so he can start to zip about. Same thing kind of goes for Boom, and they've built up some stacks. They did clear out the large camp. The Ancient still left standing. Again, the trade-off in allowing Jackie to farm is starting to pay off. Like, this Alchemist has been uncontested, is about 1.2k above the next core in JG. And so long as his tier 1 stands, he is still relatively safe to just free farm top, uncontested. Hit that Radiance timing, and once that's up, it can start to get a little bit tough. That will also align with FBZ being a threat with the Enigma, with you starting to have that blink on Mac. And again, you got your initiation angles in. I think the big one to watch out for on Boom, though, is the level 6 spikes on their supports. Like, once Tim's has 6, once Tim's has that hookshot, it becomes a lot easier for Boom to start to commit onto that some fights. Their big issue now is just mobility. Like, they don't have the naturally mobile heroes that you would have with, say, the Primal Beast or Phoenix, or even the Tiny with a toss back. And that does mean that looking for some deep dives doesn't tend to work out, as we saw with that gate movement from Jackie earlier.
And it doesn't. We're going to have another quick pause out. Looks like Bob's having issues now. So a very good start here for Boom Esports once again. Like, Jackie's obviously just way ahead as the Alchemist, but that's to be expected as we do have the go-ahead. But both the mid and the offlane as well of Boom seem... I mean, everyone's pretty even. I can't just say Boom's doing well. I suppose it's still an extremely even game when you count everyone but Jackie on the map. Because they are going to TP up top. Bob looks like he wants to try and find this Alchemist. Kishka's around with the finger as well, so they've got plenty of burst damage available if they can get the initial jump in. Zip is going to be there, but Chemical Rage does get popped. You've got Zhao around as well. Disruption, it doesn't come out. In fact, Hex comes out first. Jackie, though, he's still alive. He's walking out of there. Now the black hole. Bob's been caught. Bob is down, and somehow Jackie, of all people, is going to survive all of it. Oh, that Chemical Rage, it came off just in the nick of time. What a shame. What a huge miss here from the Mongolz.
Cost them a lot for that deep dive, and the response from Boom just snappy coming in, even if the saves are just slightly late. The tankiness of the Alchemist, and you have to respect that. Just with a bracer up and the Soul Ring, it's a lot of HP he does get on top, and you really needed some more output there. Amq, of course, not showing up just yet in the Tiny. Wasn't around for something like a cheeky gate movement, so you do lack that instant avatar sort of follow-through coming in, and it's just lacking on the side of Mongolz. Lead is growing for Boom. That's just more space for Jackie. Off the back of that kill, it's the Radiant starts to accelerate. Tier 1 top stays steady as well because that commitment falls flat. And the farm and build-up for Bob slows down. You know, he loses a galvanized stack from dying. We'll still try for some pressure, but I don't see the commitment coming out, especially while Finger's on cooldown. That burst damage just isn't quite there, at least until AumQ starts to join in, which, again, our Tiny isn't quite set for.
That it is not. Rotations in again. Tim's getting some D-wards off, and there are plenty of heroes here from the Mongolz if they want to try and initiate. Castaway, probably an easy target if you do get the hookshot on him. Kind of hard to Icarus dive away from a clockwork after all. They won't make the jump in. Instead, they're just more than happy to take this mid-tier 1 tower, which is also fair enough. They'll get away with it just fine. And with that, I mean, the issue really is starting to become that there's too many objectives going down here for the Mongolz. They've already lost their bot and mid-tier 1 tower now. This Enigma play from FBZ already paying off quite a lot here for the side of Boom. And for the Mongolz, like, you got to be kind of wary to control this tempo, because keep in mind, Jackie is still farming, and he's really starting to pull ahead now. 3.5k ahead of any of the cores on the Mongolz, with the Radiance already up. He's having the perfect outgame. It's no struggle apart from that one gank attempt that didn't even work in their favor.
No. Let's see if the Mongols can start to find that pressure. Good smoke out. They've got the finger ready.
Oh,
Sweet
nice blink
breaks,
away. Breaks the smoke and gets the hell out of there. Now a counter smoke as well. Max got the echo up with a blink. He wants to go in. He knows the Mongols want to fight. And they are still having a bit of a gander across the map to see if they can find any kind of target. They'll head up top. Jackie is around, but it seems like they have scanned out this Earthshaker, so they do not want to commit. They know the blink's up. They know it's scary right now against Mac.
They're not fully backing off top, though. Feel like they're safe with these extended wards in front of their tier 1s. Maybe a bit back.
Does get the onslaught away. Boom Esports now just taking over the Radiant Triangle completely. You can kind of see the fear right now of the Mongols. They just don't really have much they can do at the moment.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Thing is, Jackie's gonna have a blink of his own very soon, so like he wants to get involved. I think his team is very well aware of how far ahead they are already. And again, this could be a pretty concerning sign if you are the Mongols in terms of trying to kind of get through the storm that is coming.
And that's one thing with Boom. You're mentioning it with their tower takes. I think in the series we saw earlier as well, they've been so good at defending tier 1s and just forcing this pressure early. They have all their tier 1s as they get the jump.
They sure do. They found JG, finger out as well, and they've got the damage with Mac. TPs are incoming. They're going to try and fight, but it's just a mess. Cogs blocking their way. They could not get in. And with that, they just lose all confidence in the chase. I mean, keep in mind, like, FBZ was right behind Max, so if you went for that big jump in, chances are you were just going to get black holed anyway.
They still have that ace in their hole, and it doesn't even feel fully necessary for FBZ. He could just wait for the storm. Get another jump.
They sure do. Who have they got this time around? It's going to be Castaway. MQ is here, but there's no damage. There's nothing he can really do at the moment. Like, he's got an Echo Saber, but that's about it.
Not quite enough. He needs something like his Blink to actually play off of that Avatos. And he doesn't really have the best of times to the tree grab just yet. Do have a little bit of a packet loss complaint. So get the reconnections underway for good old Boom. Last time around they had to restart their internet. Hopefully it's not that bad. But I really just, again, want to emphasize how well Boom's played around her own objectives. Look at how healthy these tier 1s are at 14 minutes. Bot's been untouched. Mid's barely touched. Top was kind of shoved in a little bit when they were trying to attack Jackie, but it's still at half HP. They play around these early objectives so damn well, just because they know how important it is to give that initial farm boost to Jackie. He needs all of this map space on their side of the river, and they just are more than willing to mass TP to prevent any of them falling down, and still have the room to get action elsewhere, allow FBZ or the supports to just kind of shove in tier 1s casually, and it just leads to the circumstance. 3 to 8, 14 minutes in, 9k advantage for Boom. You've got this massive Alchemist that you have to be very concerned about. Almost 11k net worth on Jackie, BKB coming out next. Miles ahead of all the other cores, and the other cores of Boom aren't too bad off. They still maintain at least around 700 gold above compared to the same cores on the side of Mongolz. They're getting steady progression on FBZ and on Mac, who is working onto his Ags. FBZ is working on the Oro game with the pipe. Again, we talked about the importance of the magical burst here for Mongolz. This pipe just removes that early threat from Ankyu, makes him very reliant on the tree grab, which takes time to ramp up on the Tiny, especially after a slower game like this. He can try to farm back, but it takes some time until the physical threat is there.
And meanwhile, Max on the hunt. He's got an Invis rune up. Oh, he's going to find Bob too. Tim's is around. Tim's will get jumped first, but Mac probably very happy with what he's seeing because they're going to just jump in for the easiest kill of his life. And my god, that enchant totem damage with the acid spray minus armor is a bit ridiculous, to say the least.
It is. I love physical shenanigans with acid spray. You know, again, shout out to Team SMG who used to run that good old synergy. I mean, I gotta give them a shout out. Who else was crazy enough to run Alchemist Venge? It always brought a smile to my face because who would think of that synergy? Only SMG, only moving under gunfire would lead you to these ideas, Mike.
That is true,
the team
John.
environment before.
It's not easy being under gunfire at all times. It's Jackie. is the gunman at the moment. Kishka, sadly, is the one under gunfire, as he is probably just dead. Very slowly, I might add. Meanwhile, Bob goes down again. Mac finds another kill. That's a little bit concerning. Mac is just having a bit too of an easy time here, just committing the echo for another kill.
I mean, you're happy enough to do it for the Storm. Bob has no galvanized stacks. He has no extra mana regen to play with. He does have his Kaya. He needs his BKB. Like, without any galvanized stacks, it just feels awful. You're not able to zip his 4. You're reliant on Kishka to kind of top you up with level 1 mana drain. It's not that quick to sustain through the middle of these fights. It just makes the game so complicated. Again, we always talk about it with Storm. You're a snowball hero, but I don't think we've ever seen a 0 galvanized Storm in this kind of game before. 16 minutes in. It's a rough go for King Bob.
I mean, that it is. I actually can't remember the last time I saw 0 galvanized. I don't know if I have in a pro game, I'll be honest with you, John. It's Tim's. Jump in, they might at least get some now. Tim's actually pretty tanky. He's still alive. Cog's out. He's out of mana now on the Storm. Bob, he's going to continue moving in. They'll get Tim's. Eventually. There's one stack for you, John.
Yeah. Without the fist, he wouldn't have gotten that. It's 100% increase. You know, it's so important. Going into the level 15, that's probably 15 minutes away for you at this point. I mean, look. Yeah, you take what you can get. You get one stack. It's like, all right. After a game this rough, you're happy enough with just a clockwork pick off. The issue is you cede ground. Bot lane was freely shoved in. Mongolz are all smoked up, but they can't really do much with it. They do have this blink on AumQ up. Issue is if you can even burst anyone. Like the full pipe's up in FBZ. If you blink Ava, if it's not the supports, then they're probably not dying here.
Jump in again. Castaway, at least for now, will survive. A nice tossback play as well, catching FBZ. FBZ has no real play here about just to try and run away. He's got Black Hole up, but there's just too many stuns flying in. Meanwhile, Mac, though, he gets the echo. And now the Black Hole, no, it's cancelled. It is cancelled. They'll take Mac down. But it's still actually not a bad fight for Boom Esports. They've already found 3. There could be a 4th as well, because JG does not look like he's going to be able to get out of here in time. Jackie will catch him. Jackie will take him out. And AumQ does show himself there for a second, so the chase continues. But he'll get the TP away. Disruption is not going to be within range. But my goodness, Jonathan. Like, even with a fight like that, where it seems like the Mongols can't lose, they still end up getting a negative trade. Mind you, they did get the gold bonus their way. So, like, at least you could probably call that a win.
Yeah, you could. I think overall it's still worthwhile for the Mongols, considering what they found in exchange. It's just that was probably the ideal circumstance for them, and they only find 2. Right? They get the Avalanche Toss onto FBZ, they get the Chain Stuns. He's not able to pop the pipe until the Tiny's in, until the Tiny's done with his combo. So they get their full damage out in the Mongols. And they still aren't able to clean up fast enough to burst down Mac and FBZ before any shenanigans. You have to be mildly concerned about that on the side of the Mongols, but again, with them being 12k behind up against an Alp draft at 19 minutes, it's, even though it's an Alp draft you're up against 12k behind, you know, most of that on the Alchemist, it's still a significant amount at this point. And Jackie is just set to ramp up. They might find a little bit of extra if Castaway's not too careful, but they aren't willing to dive too deep and just look for the safe siege out. We'll say for the Mongols, I mean, Bob is just trying to work his way into the BKB along with his full Witchblade, and again, it's been slow going. Still bottom that word core. At the least, again, AumQ is getting some progression, has room up to maybe go for a quick BKB if he so wished, before any more sources of damage. Boom, for their part, still control the map. They've got that vision down bot that leads him to play this aggression here, and they might spot something with that ward.
They may jump in. Jackie, he's got a 2-man stun into the 2-man hook shot. JG pops his BKB, tries to get out of there. Doesn't even get the onslaught away. It's just getting more and more painful, and this is why I think you're just best off banning an Alchemist, especially against a team that you would imagine is probably better. Generally not a great idea to give Alk away, because this is what happens. Meanwhile, mid lane, Kishka is definitely just dead. Look at Mac. Look at the damage. My goodness.
Oh, that's Lion gameplay right there when you're behind. In fact, Mac is not quite done. is hanging around here, but good old Bob, of course, isn't going to be risking anything. We'll just have to TP out. Still, the control all the way to Boom as it is. No forward vision from Mongolz to try to kind of scout forward and even try to hope for a pick-off with Q. Boom's been utilizing the rocket flare vision quite nicely here as well. And they're just going about it so methodically. They're going for the Tormentor. They're going to go for the Tier 2 next. And the options for team fights out for Mongolz just isn't particularly great. Even with the BKB on JG. Feels like you need Bob to have his own BKB up. And again, that's just miles away at this point, considering how slow this game is. You are looking at Q to work into a Phylactery into a Conda. Do a little bit more damage there, but again, there's just no room to farm. They can't cross the river. They can't suppress Boom. They're losing control over their triangle with his Tier 2 set to fall. And Boom are not relenting. They'll just go into another smoke.
They've got a great target as well. Fisher's going to land. Enchant is not there in time. Bob will at least zip away for now, but for how long? He'll get towards his team. No mana left on the Storm, but he is safe. It's probably the most important thing for him right now, just not dying. So you really can't afford to keep dying with the way this game's going. Meanwhile, the rest of Boom hanging around mid lane. Looking to see if somebody will come farm this wave. JG is going to show up, and that probably means JG's just dead. There's just no chance of surviving when Jackie jumps in at the moment. Literally zero chance.
Way too much damage output right now on this Alchemist, and just no threat, again, from the side of Mongolz. Just have to seed ground on these Tier 2s. No outer towers left for them. They're trying to split push across, but bot still healthy. Only so much Miter Phoenix can kind of do here. Could be a nice opportunity for Boom to start thinking, whoa.
Echo committed, cast away. Mac has no reason to hold back. He'll just throw it out every single time because it's just a free kill. As MQ now also dying top lane, more importantly. FBZ to secure that one. Black Hole committal just to ensure they secure that kill. And yeah, I mean, Boom are completely unrelenting. In fact, they found another Jonathan. Kishka's going to get caught. And I think it's Roshan time. I mean, there's no two ways about it. Just go Roshan. There's nobody left to kill but Roshan.
No. There's no reason not to. Like, again, there's no control here from the side of Mongolz. They do have this, they did have a nice cheeky ward in lane as it does die off. Doesn't have anything to watch over the pit. And even if you could, it just doesn't feel like you're ready. Your Tiny is not ready to try to make big plays with Avalanche Toss without something like the BKB. His damage output also is just fading away with a pipe pickup early on from FBZ. Secondary life up now for Jackie. Killing off this Alchemist twice just seems like a little bit of a pipe dream right now for the side of the Mongolz. And I think the big issue for the Mongolz is just how can they execute these big 5v5 team fights? Their best bet is single target pickoffs, but they haven't really found that. Maybe now, but even then, it's not able to even catch Tims.
I mean, Tims just pops his cogs and they just like, okay, we can't do anything. Get out of there, boys. It's over. Hook. Oh, it's not on target. He gets Mac instead, but Mac's right behind Bob. Bob's getting a little bit low on mana. Still trying to find his way out. Does go for the TP. Oh, Mac. Close call, but not quite. This time, they'll get Bob out of there.
Yeah. Does bail out, but again, you're just losing so much map space to escape. You have no space to play in. All they can do is maybe try to farm this extended bot jungle. High ground is going to be knocking soon, though, with Jackie, as he inches closer into that full Bloodthorn as well. And again, I'm wondering where the threat's supposed to be here from the side of Mongolz. Maybe some repositional tools can kind of make some work happen. If Q can get a nice blink toss back, perhaps that can open up some potential in an isolated player. With, say, the Pulverize, with you perfectly stacking your stuns from your line as well. Perhaps that's one way to go. But even finding that has just felt near impossible for the Mongolz, says Mac. On a bit of a hunt.
Hunting around.
Patient
JG.
for this one.
Can he find him? Oh, Fisher! Oh, close, but not quite. Oh, you gotta try. You gotta give it a crack. Regardless, it's not really gonna be that big of a deal anyway, I don't think. I mean, 100 seconds, he'll have Echo back up. Boom, still in complete control of the map. 21k advantage their way at the moment. And I mean, I'm looking for the saving grace here for the Mongols. I'm trying to see the light here, John, the light at the end of the tunnel, but it's still very bleak, very dark right now, this tunnel.
Yeah. The only thing I really see is just the toss back. And we've seen that save games before, isolating heroes, but that's from a +4 timing, not a 1. Catch 1 here.
They're going to find an SD. Here comes Jackie, though. They'll find Zhao. Jackie's jumped in. He's committed for this. Bob almost dying, but he'll be okay to back off for now as hookshot is in. JG gets his BKB off. Jackie's still chasing. Meanwhile, Castaway just completely destroyed here by the ES. As they'll go for a little bit more now. So they are going to find JG in the end by the looks of it. They'll take his life away. And with that, I mean, it's... I guess at least you got to support Shadow Demon. It was actually worth about 727 gold. But still not the greatest of trades.
They're certainly not the greatest of trades, but hey, you got to take what you can get. Now, it's not like bleeding out on JG is that detrimental to your costs anyhow, considering how far behind you are in net worth. Your main issue now is considering the high ground defense. There's still 1:40 left on Jackie with his Aegis. Only a few seconds until that Chemical Rageous up. I have to say, the impact of Mixologist, just how spammable the Unstable Concoction and Berserk Potion is during Chemical Rage, it's kind of ridiculous. Just how often he can toss these out, how often he can get a basic Dispel on, how often he can get a nice big nuking stun off as well. It is a lot of value after riding through that early laning phase. And for Jackie, it looked a little bit dicey for maybe the first 2-3 minutes, but past that point, he does manage to sail through and again have this opportunity here.
He does. They'll move in again. FBZ, okay for now. Kishka, the first one to go down. JG now in trouble as well, but they'll get the egg off. Bob has been destroyed again, as they are trying to focus the egg here with Jackie. Castaway will be able to get it off. Meanwhile, AMQ is just down. And now JG, also caught out. It's just... Yeah, they call it. I was going to say it's about time. Like, it's just... This game's going nowhere. And so, there you have it, Jonathan. Game 1, very, very convincingly, goes in the favor of Boom Esports. So far, Bob is correct.
That he is. And, you know, it's... I appreciate Bob being realistic. You know, we've had him be very confident when they had to last pick a Bob Storm. This time around, it's the Bob Tiny. It's like you said, it feels like Bob was saying, you know what, just let me run that Tiny mid, where I can find tempo, where I can get a blink faster instead of Echo Saber, start to make action happen around the map. He's really going to have to put in the effort to put a dent on Mac. Like, just this range advantage, the spell advantage with Poke, it's going to feel pretty damn good for the Lina. Let's see if Bobby can get work on it, because, you know, again, Bob King didn't feel the most confident coming into this one.
No, he did not. Do we see now the first spot, I wonder? They see Zhao. Flame Break is not going to connect, however. So Boom Esports very well aware that the Mongols are chasing for an attempt at a kill. Nice little quick D ward out from the Mongols. Question is, do Boom want to oblige? And in fairness, Boom's draft level 1 is pretty bad for fights, so they will just leave the area. Mongols still going to have a gander, see if they can find something, but it seems like Boom well and truly just going to stay away from any kind of engagement for now. Yeah, I don't see a fight breaking out, sadly, between these two sides. What's your confidence level into this in this Morphling, John? Going up against the Pos1 Medusa, do you like the Morph?
It's okay. Again, you don't have the easiest answers in trying to stop Medusa. I suppose the one cheeky thing you can't do is turn into Lion and Mana Drain, but chances are that's not exactly your game plan here.
No, I don't think so.
It's a one-way. I like this cheekiness from the Mongols. Look at this. They're blocking off the camps. They're still hiding Castaway with a Flame Break. But Boom are very cautious. They're showing a lot of respect for that aggression. And they will just end up having, you know, their creep wave under the tower. It's not going to be the biggest deal for Jackie, although it can be shoving out the lane quite nicely in favor of JG. Shoving out Medusa in any case is going to be a little bit of a tall order anyhow. So Jackie should just be fine finding his farm. But yeah, it's important for Medusa to have the best time, because I feel like that's your best solution here for Mongols. You don't have a straightforward answer, and trying to kill off the Deuce as the game scales late. So the best thing you can hope for is have that laning pressure early. Have that aggression lined up, and it's going to hinge on JG and Kishka kind of hitting decent times to level 2, level 3. Right? Like, Cookie Starbreaker is a combination you have to respect. And Zhao's going to have to be very smart with his mana management and his Earth Spike and Hex usage here.
That he will. Definitely not the easiest of lanes here for Boom down with that bottom lane. Could certainly be quite dangerous. Because mid lane, you're seeing Mac and Bob going at it. You kind of went over this. In fact, hold that thought, because FBZ's already drawn first blood. Tim's lands a Cogs, FBZ's there with the Eidolons, and apparently that's more than enough to take down the Bat Rider.
That it is, especially when you're out of mana for the Flame Break. And you have some clear for these Eidolons, but it's a little bit early days for you to expect a Morphling to just waveform in. You don't have the sticky napalm to help soften that up either. You're taking a gander at mid as well. We are having a very good time for Mac and a very bad time for Bob. And he's always got tossback plays, but he has no pressure. I think Mac's just there. He twacks away with his right clicks. He doesn't care too much about the crash landing coming out, because he gets free damage from just right clicking and figuring out the creep wave. I'm curious to see if Bob is gonna get any relief from his team this time around. Like, Bat Rider Snap could get things done. I don't know if you emphasize it at the 4-minute Watt Rune as we saw in the last game, but there has to be some sort of help for the Tiny, considering, again, your Lina is just going to be running down this lane as the levels go up here.
No, absolutely. Not a very fun lane. I mean, they knew this, though. They knew this was going to happen with this mid-Tiny, and they still chose it anyway, so... I mean, Bob Shaw certainly has a plan, I'm sure, as he does go for a quick toss-back play onto Mac. A lot of damage being dealt on the Lina. Not quite enough to secure, but Bob still chasing, almost gets there. Nice attempt. Bottom lane, Zhao. Zhao's going to go down. Kishka dropping low, but Jackie cannot really continue the chase. So we'll have to let the Snapfire run.
Yeah, again, they're finding openings in the side of Mongolz for that aggression. And that is what they need. They need to come out of these lanes nice and strong. Up top, some aggression onto Castaway again.
Did they get him? Oh, the Eidolons are just doing so much damage. Like, this combo of Clockwork and Enigma, it's just so potent if you catch a support like that. Ridiculous.
It's just not enough clear as well, right? Like, again, it's going to take levels for you to start burning through the Eidolons. It's not like level 2 waveform in the laning phase is going to nuke it down either just yet. So you're going to have a lot of presence out from FBZ in comparison to maybe the threat that you used to have with OMQ on the Tiny. For clearing out, and the aggressive play wasn't quite lined up for Boom. This is going to accelerate FBZ's aura timings, right? Like, his drums is going to come out quick. Something like a pipe is not going to take too long. They've got room to rotate out for Tim's as well to give Mac a water rune. It still leaves an open water rune for Bob on bot, as you're not able to really get that same movement out from Zhao. But you do prevent any shenanigans on the side of Mongolz to help slow down mid now, which we saw in the last game. Last time around, they threw 4 heroes in just for the water runes, just to deny something away from Mac. Can't really stop that now. And Lina, even though it's just one little water rune, just having mana to play with, having mana to clear out the wave and poke Bob, more than enough to be happy for Mac to just kind of stay in camp and farm.
I'm Q even not able to really safely farm this top lane of this Morphling. You can kind of feel the fear here from this Morph as Zhao's even rotated over. He might find a kill. They'll get the vision onto the Morphling, but they are out of range for a nice Earth Spike Hex combination, or are they? AimQ, not going to be the target. They may try for Castaway instead. In fact, Kishka's the target. Kishka's showing up at the last second, but he really cannot sustain himself against FBZ at the moment. They'll still try for Zhao. AimQ going to move in. The line dropping low, but he has Earth Spike and he has Hex up. They'll continue to just control this Morphling, as nobody will actually die yet, but Castaway landing a Flame Break should have a kill now, but it may come at the cost of his own life, as FBZ will be able to find his 3rd kill of the game.
You don't mind that kind of trade whatsoever, right? Like, you can leave Jackie alone perfectly. There's no kill threat on the Snapfire, onto the Dawnbreaker on the Dusa. So you can afford to actually just leave Jackie. You can afford to look for that aggression on mid. You don't mind sacrificing the Lion, as you're just giving FBZ more kills to get that aura. His drums should be flying out soon into the boots. He's going to be able to get his Eidolons onto the tier 1, applying pressure solo if need be. Zhao can TP onto mid, although there is some poking here onto Mac again. He does have the counter threat in terms of Laguna being ready as well, so you have to be careful about how much you commit here.
Oh, they get unlucky with the power into here, Mongolz. At least Castaway will be able to... Oh, no, never mind. He cannot get it because Tim's is there to cut them off now. I was going to say, all that commitment and they get unlucky. It's classic 6-minute power rune timing. Nothing they can do about it. Sometimes Gaben will bless you and sometimes he does not. And, well, thankfully for Mac, he does find himself a cheeky invis rune, which will probably lead to a kill at some point, let's be honest. It's a bit of a rough go for Mongolz, just getting very unlucky.
That they are. And again, you hit this timing for Boom. Drum's already up on FBZ. He has solo threat. They're starting to make another move onto Castaway.
They are. Castaway dropping low again. He's just not having a game here on this Bat Rider. Dying another time. And it's just so tough because as soon as you get trapped in that cogs, you're basically just as good as dead as long as this Enigma's around. In fact, now Max here. Oh, and there you go.
Oof.
I mean, you don't have to be a prophet to call that was going to happen, John. Nice and easy.
No. Always just enjoy seeing something green broth very low, very fast to the burst. And, you know, it's always a treat. Down the line, Mike, we'll see Laguna Finger. Oh, just love those magical effects coming out. Single target spells, the fingers being pointed. Like a magical duel on hand onto one target. I remember back in the day, the one image that stuck to me, as we have some room to speak here. One image that stuck to me outside of Mac dying.
And Mac is dropping low, Mac is gone. What is it, John? What do you... Spit it out. What do you got for us?
You know, when you had backtrack, there was a lion in the Lena that fingered in Laguna.
Yes.
A backtracking phases. Boy, that was just so sick. You don't get stuff like that anymore.
No.
Those were the days of Dota, Mike. I remember.
They should bring it back. They really should. It was iconic.
No.
It was iconic.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's kind of there, right? In the town. It is there.
Yeah, but it's not.
You have to hit 25.
Oh, what a shame. It was great. I mean, yeah, sure, if you were the Lena Lion, you'd feel like killing yourself, but, you know, if you weren't, if you were the Void, John, you had a great old time.
The great part was back then, you could deny yourself off as well when you were Fudge. So, you know, we've lost a lot of things in Dota, Mike. Certainly have.
Don't get all sentimental, me, John.
I can't afford you. Still, a nice kill on mid, just have to point out again, they are starting to find some punish here, but you really don't mind in Boom. Again, it's free space out top. They might be able to go on to Kishka. Just Tim's alone.
There's a lot of bodies here, though. Toss back onto Tim's, and that should at least be a Tim's kill. And they will get it. So you gotta commit the numbers like that sometimes. Does it make it so the mid and safe lane are just farming that much easier? Yes. But considering the state of the game and how that top lane was going, they needed to do something. Problem is they didn't really kill FBZ. They only found the support clock.
No. And FBZ can still dig into the stacks in the triangle. No forward vision being set up by the Mongolz. So they're not able to really contest. And again, you're farming up a storm on the side of Boom. Outside of that one big death of Mac on mid, you are still getting everything you'd want. You have a free time for Jackie. You have been able to leave this Medusa alone. The Mongols have not been able to make a rotation bot. I think that's their biggest downfall. Instead, they're always responding to this movement top instead of looking for their own movement bot, which is easier said than done, of course. Maybe that starts to become easier and becomes a reality once Bob has his blink. Even that feels like it's delayed, as he doesn't even have his phase boots done. We'll have to stay brown boots into blink for a little bit of quicker tempo, and he's shoved out of mid with Mac just holding onto that lane. Mac, for his part, almost into the travels to have that early tempo around the map. Every single time he has the Laguna, of course, just going to be looking for that play. And 5-4, a 2k lead for Boom already feels good. And they can always just look for one pick off into a nice objective take with the drums up on this Enigma, even though they haven't really had the opportunity to do so just yet. The one big thing for Mongolz, I guess with the daytime switch, and there is some stuff you can do with the vision out from JG. Allows him to kind of track top at the very least.
Does. Top lane, Kishka. They're going to find Tim's again. Nice, easy. Take out Tim's another time. I mean, you know, these kills, they're not huge, John, but they do make a difference. You know, every little kill adds up. My main concern is the 3 cores of Boom are just free farming. Like, Tim's is dying, but who cares? Everybody's free farming.
Yeah. And this is all going according to plan for Boom. Again, Jackie has not done anything but sit bot. And that's exactly what you'd want for a Deucer, right? All you want to do is sit bot, farm. You have your nice little double camp right behind your tier 1. It's super easy to farm up as a Deucer. You've got your Yasha flying out. You've got a pause coming in from Tim's. Some loss, he says. And for the side of Mongolz, I'm sure you're finding these support pickoffs. Your cores are still farming slow. You do have the phase boots for Bob. It has a little bit more chase potential, a little bit more right-click damage and armor into the blink. You actually are just going back for the Midas on Ankyu to try to keep scaling up. And his timing doesn't look too shabby, considering he went powered threads plus a rate band. So the Midas timing should still nicely help accelerate. My main concern is, eventually you're going to get Castaway to start to eat some farm up. Mind you, Castaway, out of all the support players we've seen, is the one support player who has probably been more willing to be sacrificial. It's just that you don't want to be that kind of support player on the Batrider. You do want to be a little bit greedy into the blink, so he's going to have to eat some of that jungle space up for himself. And then maybe once you have the double blinks up, you start to feel a little bit better about your pickoff potential here. But that's still a ways off. Okay, I think the best thing you can hope for is at least Bob's blink timing to line up. Maybe you can start to play into that with blink timing plus kisses being up for Kishka. That's where things can get a little bit simpler in terms of executing on a core. We'll just have to see if that timing can present itself. For the side of Mongolz, it feels like they can punish these overextensions as they dig into the tier 1s from the side of Boom, but they're not able to also cross the river themselves. And for Boom's part, this is the kind of game where Boom doesn't necessarily want to cross that river. So if you want to force something out on Mongolz, you will have to try to sneak about yourself, which they will try now. Castaway does have Lasso. Bob ready with a toss. This is one way to simplify this thing without the blink.
Easy. Caught. Solar Guardian right through as well. Not messing around. And it's a very, very, very worthwhile kill here for Bob. A lot of gold to go his way. In fact, that was about 700 and something gold there for Bobby. And you throw the kitchen sink at FBZ if it means his death. You need it.
You have to take that chance. Gives a lot of space out to Boom, but again, you're accelerating this Tiny into his blink. You get a little bit of an invasion into the triangle, no stacks left. You'll at least take care of some of those camps. Jackie, however, more than free to just go for that tier 1 bond along with Mac and Zhao. And this Deuce is just getting a little bit too much, too fast, right? Mantis up. Already has the Diadem up with a little bit more stats for him. The Mantis not too far off. The farm distribution across the Boom cores, nice and even across every single one, with a comfy lead of almost 1,000 each over the next cores in the Mongols. So your initial timings are feeling quite strong on Boom. You might want to ride out into the Ags timing of Mac, but once you have that Fiery Soul active, the Flame Cloak up, you can just melt heroes. You don't care. And that should align nicely with FBZ going into his pipe. Still trying to sneak in here.
Nice easy catch here on the Dawnbreaker. AMQ's going to join in as well, but they've already lost their Dawnbreakers. Tim's, he's going to hookshot right onto Bob to try and stop the ganking coming. They'll find at least Zhao. They want Mac on the laner. FBZ's even intervening as well, just to ensure they don't lose any more bodies. So 1-for-1 trade in the favor of Boom Esports that time around. And Boom desperately getting over there to ensure that they don't give up too much.
But again, I think that's worthwhile. It does cost you the Stone Gaze of Jackie, but again, this Deuce is not looking to join in anytime soon. You'll take the hit and run. You get a nice finger kill for Zhao before he falls, and you're forcing the side of Mongolz to respond to you. And meanwhile, the side of Boom, and the aura play is not too far off. Still 700 gold for the Ring of Tarrasque for FBZ into the pipe, but they've got room now to start to look at these tier 1s. They're not being as defensive on their own tier 1s. They are giving room for AMQ to siege down bot. And the side of Boom's a little bit hesitant to fully commit onto top. So this is a game where maybe some of that early siege isn't coming out on that kind of timing we were seeing from Boom in game 1. But it also is a stronger start for the Mongols in comparison, so have to hand that to them. Still, we'll try to sneak with a smoke out. Good break from Kishka. Not going to be able to find a big target they'd want. But that should lead into the siege. So even if your smoke doesn't find a kill, I think just finding the objective trade is alright enough for the side of Boom. They have shown to be very good at utilizing the space to already plant a nice forward ward as well. And They still have a hook shot ready if Tims does find an angle here.
Oh, Castaway. They're not going to see him. Castaway actually TPing up top to defend the top tier 1 and maybe set up a kill with Kishka and Bob. The kill will not come though. Kind of a similar story to last game. Like, I know I said the exact same thing, but you've got to be somewhat concerned about Jackie. Like, it's not an alchemist, but he's still free farming on this Medusa. He knows the hero like the back of his hand. Like, AMQ is still farming very well as well, but he did opt for a Midas build-up. So, I wonder how concerned the Mongols are about this. You know, the fact that you're not addressing the position 1 or 2 of Boom Esports.
I'd say it's pretty concerning. I mean, you're not quite going for aura build-up here on JG. He is opting for the Mage Slayer, which is nice if he can get on top of Mac. But again, in comparison to just having this pipe up on FBZ, we saw this timing be ruinous for Mongolz last time, because their instant burst play with Tiny just disappears. Same thing happens in this game. And we haven't really seen Bob utilize his blink to the big ways we'd want to on the Tiny, considering its timing on mid. So I think just, again, this passive game, yes, you managed to find some objectives down bot. You are finding some pickoffs onto supports, but you're not able to slow down these cores. You're not able to maximize this early spike on Bob with Blink, with the Avalanche Toss combination. That already feels pretty off. You're getting some space for Castaway to at least get his own Blink up. But again, it's just sapping some space away. Boom eventually finds that tier 1 they'd want. And maybe a freebie, although it's a bit far.
It's short on the range there for poor old Tims. Castaway going to be able to TP out just fine. A much slower game than game 1 was, that's for sure, in terms of the team fights, I'd say. But that's kind of goes with the drafts. I think, in fact, Mongols are probably happy with the fact that this game is going so much slower than what we saw in game 1, because game 1 was a real messy affair for themselves. So I think having a slow, normal game for them is going to feel quite nice, even if they don't feel like they're in the lead right now, which they certainly are not. They are 4K behind.
Yeah, it gives them some, again, breathing room to try to adjust, to try to hit their own spikes. They start to feel comfy when Castaway starts to hit that blink. And again, all things considered, punishment onto the Batrider hasn't really come out. He's taking a little bit more aggressive farm down bot now. Some room for sieging on mid, and Kishka is kind of exposed here by himself.
He is. Kishka to be chased. Tim's going to catch him in the cogs, and we've seen this before. Finger out from Zhao. And the mid-tier 1 tower going to be focused down very fast. And this is one thing that was similar from last game, is you do still have an Enigma on your side. So towers do melt. It is very easy to find kills. And sadly for Mongols, that has not changed.
Really hasn't. They do have that blink on Castaway, so blink lasso now, just in case the blink Avatos doesn't work out for Bob. But same timing's there for Zhao. Has his own blink with brown boots up. We are kind of scaling up. It is a lot of a slower game, right? 7-7, 4K lead for Boom still coming out. But again, you have to appreciate the way both teams are playing. Mongols just being a lot more considerate considering what happened in the last game, and Boom for their part still playing calculated. They're going for the objectives. The smokes haven't been panning out completely in comparison to last game. Mongols having a much better idea of what's going on. But you look at these wards Boom has set up right behind the tier 2, keeping watching JG, watching that top jungle as well. They're all clumped up top. They are almost ready to spring their traps here. And Jackie, the investment is really skyrocketing. The Scotty is not too far off for Dedusa. They're looking for the tier 2. They're looking for a little bit of forced response out.
Uh-oh, Mac blowing up Castaway. Black Hole committed from FBC. Bit of a celebration, Black Hole, I guess, as JG now being caught. Tim's chasing him down, and they're going to have another one anyway.
Forgive me. Burns, doesn't it?
It was a celebration,
I
Black Hole,
like
John.
that.
Sometimes you just got to wave your hands
was-
around. You know, do the hokey pokey.
It was more of a TP cancellation, Black Hole, right? It cuts off Bob, it cuts off Aunq from actually getting into that fight. So it ruins their chances of trying to save that. They'll get the kisses out, but where's the follow-through? Where's the control? Because they had to cancel TPs, they can't find an angle in. Actually kind of pays off there for FBZ.
I mean, it certainly does. That's a good point, John. I mean, you don't get to see many, like, area denial black holes or, like, TP cancel black holes, but... I mean, if it works, it works. You still win the fight. Who cares if it didn't look that great?
Yeah, to be fair, I do feel like FBZ thought the TPs would be a bit quicker, so he felt like he could actually catch them, but even just canceling them kind of gives the same effect for Boom. They have some room to keep shoving up top, with no threat of black hole and with quick respawns though. This time around it's already, again, they have this kidnapping tool in Blink Lasso, Blink Toss back.
Well, they got the toss, I think, on Bob. Oh, Bob does not actually toss back. So Tim's is actually okay to just cogs and run. I guess maybe the Kishka just wasn't within range to get the toss back, and now the turnaround. Max here, finger is going to land, but Laguna never got committed. So at least Bob's going to be alright. But my oh my, like really playing on the edge here is the Mongols, I feel like.
They are. I mean, they know they have an opportunity with at least a couple of the big ultimates down. Just a matter of getting Bob in position, getting Castaway in position with these blinks. We don't quite find anything with the scan. Alki is farming pretty far forward. Maybe transition this to a tier 1 push, but not exactly what you'd want. Like, yes, taking the mid-tier 1, 20 minutes in. It's a big change from what we saw in game 1, where towers were relatively healthy at 20 minutes in. So you have more map space to play in. You've got forward wards to set up, playing down bot. But the lead's just growing. Jackie, that full Scotty's up 21 minutes. Scotty Manta on this Dusa. It's just been way too free of a game here.
That's concerning. That is very, very concerning. Especially when you're playing Morphling into a Medusa. Like, the last thing you want to see is a quick Scotty. But there we have it. He's got it up. It's like we kind of said, John, it's been a pretty much a free as game as you could possibly ask for this Medusa. Like, Jackie's just playing an RPG or just farming simulator here on this Medusa. You do have a Manta now up on aim queues, so like it's not like the Morphling's farming bad by any stretch. It's just when you're up against a Medusa with Skadi, I don't know how much the farm is going to matter at this point. It's just like you're not going to be able to man up here up against this Deucer with the way this game's gone. And you know, Boom is still finding objectives. They'll take a tier 2 top tower. They'll probably start to look towards the mid tier 2 tower now. Whereas the Mongols, you know, they've taken 2 tier 1s, but that's really about it.
Nothing too meaningful just yet. Again, they've managed to get themselves some space to farm down bot. They set up this forward ward, which hasn't really paid off just yet for the side of Mongols. They've not been able to play in that area. Outside of that one smoke play they did get out. I think the one big issue for the Mongols is that it doesn't feel like they've been able to try to capitalize again on just Blink, Avatos, and maybe Solar Guardian on top. I think that feels like their cleanest bet earlier on, maybe 7 minutes ago. It felt like their clearest shot at finding pickoffs. Boom now getting confident. They smoke up. Again, they don't have forward vision themselves, but they have the black hole threat. They can jump in.
Earth Spike is out. Bob with a nice little toss back onto Kishka. Problem is, you've still got Mac around the area. They do at least drag Zhao back with the lasso, but it's still going to cost them 2 heroes at the least. In fact, they're looking for more now. Light Strike already landing onto Bob. Bob's still running, but Jackie's there with the Eye of Skadi. Slow hook shot off the mark, but the chase continues as Bob desperately trying to run away. Barely gets the blink off. Is now aim Q. He's going to move in. Uh-oh. He's almost down, but he'll barely make it out. Kishka. Oh, boy. Well, Kishka's definitely dying as FPZ makes the call for lag. You know, FPZ, I feel like you could have played with the lag, sir. Let's be frank. Bob's there with the amp damage rune, though, so FPZ could just get blown up here with an avalanche toss combination, but he does also have black hole. And he has that pipe up. So maybe not. We'll see. Bob's moving in, and there's your black hole.
Oh, Bobby.
Immediately out.
Oh,
and,
what?
No, aim Q just went right into it. Oh. What? Look, I'm going to make the excuse for them that pause messed them up. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, I can certainly see that. It's just, I get what Amki was doing as well. Like, I'm a little bit surprised it was just slightly off the mark, but he was trying to go for a high risk, high reward waveform on the edge and try to get the adaptive strike to stop. Fortunately, just not far away enough. And the punishment severe. Boom on a massive lead now, 15 to 8, 12k up. And the Mongols, I don't think that fight was looking good anyhow, to be fair. Like, pause or not, that was not a good position for them, considering how the fight was breaking out from Boom. It's Boom taking this initiative. It's the patience out from FBZ to look for these even just one-man black holes. just committing fully onto Bob, not allowing, say, these plays to come in from Mongolz. And for the Mongolz, like, we finally see an isolation out, right? They managed to drag Zhao away, but it's not Zhao you really want to burst down. It has to be one of these cores. Like, say you make that same play and manage to burst down Mac, I think you're looking at a very different fight. But finding these cores have been extra difficult. Boom have been so disciplined to just send these supports up front first. Just this lion clockwork to clear the way has been more than enough to provide the openings they need to break through the Mongols and what they have set up front.
I mean, it absolutely has been. Jackie, well and truly ahead of everyone in the net worth department. Also, almost has the butterfly up, so if things weren't already bad, they're getting much worse for the Mongols as Bob does get caught and Bob is gone.
That was unreal.
My oh my, I mean, it's just a bit too much. Zhao now gonna find himself a Morphling. FBZ around, does not have Black Hole, but still moves in anyway. Zhao being chased by AimQ, but can you actually go for this kill? I don't think he can. He might actually die for this. Here comes the help, but the Earth Spike up to 3 heroes from Zhao. Oh, they are just getting wiped. Zhao with the Ravage. Go on, John. Give me some positive news for the Mongols. Give me something.
I mean, at this rate, they're gonna last more than 27 minutes.
That's good.
Longer than game 1, right? Like, and again, they had this early game presence they played for. The lanes looked a little bit sharper. It's just they missed this timing again. Like, they weren't able to launch off with Bob and his blink. It almost felt like they just waited out for Castaway in his own blink. And even then, just finding backline has been difficult. Mind you, you're playing into some great scouting rocket flares out from Tim's. Trying to find an angle in has been difficult. They aren't really able to set up the best forward wards on the Mongols to look for these snipes. But they also just play into Boom's game plan once more. Like, FBZ hits this timing on drums. He's just able to solo top lane fine. Jackie gets all the space in the world. And it feels like the same strategy from game 1. The same strategy from this morning, where they play the early game, they buy space out for the cores to farm, they try to mitigate damage onto their offlane and mid tower as much as possible, and they just go from there. Except the one change for Boom this time around is that with Jackie on Dusa, there's just a lot more room for Zhao to actually rotate. I think that's the one change. Just because you had Dusa into Dawnbreaker, not a matchup Dusa really needs to worry about, it gave even more room for the support line to move about the map. And you're looking at 19 to 8, 20k lead, 27 minutes in for Boom. High ground, 1 rack's already cleared out. They'll smoke up, but I do believe that was spotted by this forward ward. So it's a little bit dicey to make this jump, but they've got to go for it. They need to take something outside of the high ground here on the side of Mongols.
Oh, they certainly do. They're going to see Jackie. I don't think that's quite the target you want to start on. They'll wrap around. They're looking for FBZ or Mac. Mac's invis, so they're going to go for FBZ, but here comes Zhao. In goes the jump. Castaway's already been caught. So your Bat Rider not looking too healthy. Neither is Bob, but Bob will barely survive the Laguna of Mac as they are chasing him down desperately, trying to get something. But here's FBZ. Black Hole out. It only catches 1, but it really doesn't matter. None of it matters, John. They're just going to win every fight, and GG's call. They've seen enough. Boom Esports.
That they have.
Boom Esports into the upper bracket final, Jonathan.
That they do. And again, you know, we heard Bob, from what he chatted to me. Good luck to them. It was a 2-0 for Boom, and unfortunately, it did look like an easy game. You know, I was trying to think of a positive a while ago, Mike. I said they'd last longer. It ended at